Hi my fellow book lovers, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a small little vlog of me going to Barnes & Noble and just all the books that I've been picking up. I've actually went multiple times in the past 2 weeks, so all these books I'm showing you, they weren't purchased in just one trip, they were multiple trips. And I know I literally just had a huge book haul at the end of 2021, but this is technically my first book haul of 2022, and I'm excited to share with you guys all the books that I got today.
So before I even looked at the books, I studied for a little bit. They had a really good selection of Black authors, and their book talk section was pretty decent. They had Verity, a lot of Colleen Hoover. I was just looking at books here, just seeing what I liked. This was mysteries and thrillers, and of course, gotta check the horror section, and then some fantasy.
So the first book I'm going to show you guys is Lolita. I've been meaning to read this book for a long time. I've seen the trailer for the movie and it looks very interesting. So before I go ahead and watch the movie, I thought I should read the book first. So Lolita is told from the perspective of this guy who starts to have inappropriate thoughts about this younger girl. He almost makes it seem like she is returning the feelings that he has for her, but it's really just all in his head and he's misinterpreting certain things that's happening. So I am excited to read this book. The next book I have is What If It's Us by Becky Alvarez. I'm gonna say this, so I already butchered it. Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera, and I've read They Both Die at the End, and I love that book, so I want to see some more of Adam Silvera's work. And so when I saw this book in Barnes & Noble, I decided to pick it up, and it sounds interesting. I feel like it's almost going to be like They Both Die at the End in terms of like relationship, but obviously not like dying. It's about two boys and their relationships, so I'm excited for this book as well. The next book I have here is The Iron Raven by Julia Kagawa. This book is about a prankster named Robin. He goes by the name Puck, and I'm pretty sure it says that he's from A Midsummer's Night's Dream. So this is going to be his story. It's set in a fantasy world with fairies. So obviously this book is probably going to be very interesting. It's going to be like an adventurous journey just with fairies. So I'm excited to see what this book is like. This next book here is The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, and it is set in the 18th century Europe. It is about a lord named Henry Montague, and he wants to just have fun with his friend and a secret crush, but that turns out differently for him and he ends up in a manhunt across Europe. And I think that sounds interesting. Like, I want to know why they're going on the manhunt, like why are they describing him as a scoundrel? So for some reason it just like immediately made me think of Hamilton. But yeah, this book sounds interesting. It's not something I would usually pick up, but when I saw it and I read the back of the book, it did sound interesting, so I thought I would give it a go. Plus it was part of the buy one get one 50% off. So a lot of the books they were under that bargain deal, and that's why I ended up picking them up, because I wasn't really paying full price for the books, so I couldn't really pass up the bargains. The next book I have is Small Favors by Erin A. Craig. It is about this girl who lives in a town that her routine is just very boring, and apparently this town is surrounded by a lot of forest, and previously there were these creatures that the town people managed to fight off, or so they think. Apparently there's rumors going around that these creatures still exist and they can basically fulfill people's desires. So if they want something, the creatures can do that for them, but at a small price. So that's like the favor. And the main character starts to realize that the creatures might have bad intentions, and the whole point of this story is for her to basically save her town and her family from these creatures that probably are going to try to destroy the people of the town. So I like it. It kind of sounds like a Stephen King story, like something he would probably write. So I know that it will be interesting, and it is a YA book. So a lot of books were YAs. I read like a combination of fiction, YA, fantasy. I really don't discriminate with the books that I read, really. At least I've been trying to this year, and I think I've been doing pretty good at having more of like a variety of the books that I read. This next book I have is That Weekend by Kara Thomas. It is another YA book, but it's a YA thriller. I love YA thrillers for some reason, but this is about a girl named Claire who goes away with two of her best friends during prom weekend to the mountains. For some reason, she wakes up and has no memories of the night or that weekend. She's bloodied and her two friends are nowhere to be found. So obviously, everyone has questions because the three friends went to this trip together and only one came back, and she has no memory of anything that happened. But obviously, when that happens, you want to know what went down. So this book is about her trying to piece together what happened that night, and as things start to unfold, she starts to realize that maybe she doesn't want to know what happened on that getaway trip. I'm formulating some theories in my head on what I think probably happened on that trip, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. I'm probably going to read this really soon. I do have a long TBR. I don't know if I should make a video about my TBR list because honestly, the list is long, it's out of this world, and it's kind of embarrassing. So no. The next book I have to show you guys is 7 Dirty Secrets by Natalie D. Richards. This is another thriller book. I don't know if you guys can see the pattern, but this book is about our main character, Cleo, who receives a mysterious invitation to embark on a scavenger hunt. So she thinks it's someone that she knows that's basically pulling a prank on her, but nonetheless, she and one of her other friends decide to go on the scavenger hunt. Upon going to all the different locations on the scavenger hunt and discovering the clues, a lot of these places are starting to seem very familiar to her, and she's starting to make a connection to her dead boyfriend who drowned on a trip that she was on with him and some of their friends. Now, these clues are pointing to that something else might have happened to Declan, and that our main character, Cleo, might have had some sort of involvement in her boyfriend's death. We don't know for sure, but the synopsis is kind of pointing to that direction, and this scavenger hunt may be kind of like a I know what you did last summer kind of scenario. So that is very interesting if that is exactly what this book is about. And again, I'm very excited to read this book. This next book I have is 14 Ways to Die by Vincent Ralph. This is about a girl whose mother was killed by the Magpie Man, and her mother was the first victim of this serial killer. He has since then killed multiple people. And so now, 10 years later, our main character is starring in a reality TV show about the serial killer when she starts to get these mysterious anonymous text messages that she immediately links to the serial killer and knows that this serial killer is literally watching this reality TV show and is keeping tabs on her. But it is up to her to find him before he strikes again and basically become the hero. This is almost like, I want to say, Scream in a way, but not really, because it's like a reality TV show, but you know, it involves serial killers and always being watched and sending text messages, XYZ, that, and the third. So I'm also excited for this. I don't know if you guys have read this book, and if you guys have, tell me what you thought of it. Was it as interesting as it sounds? Because I'm very curious. For some reason, I thought it wouldn't be like literally what the title says, 14 Ways to Die, but so wrong. Clickbait title. This next book I have is The First Sister by Lyndon A. Lewis. I just want to say this cover is absolutely gorgeous. I just love it. It reminds me of something from the Hunger Games, like the capital, something they would wear. But anyway, this book is told from the universe of the stars and the galaxy. Like, I think it's set in outer space, I think, or there's like a war going on in outer space, and the characters are on ships that are traveling back and forth. And the main character is part of the priestess of sisterhood. She doesn't have a name. It says she doesn't have a voice. She's given this captain. She's basically like a soldier, and she's given this captain to spy on. And I guess upon spying on him, she actually starts to fall in love with the captain. So that's very interesting. And there's a second character that we're going to follow who is also tied to this captain, and they have some sort of like history. And the second character, his name is Leto. So Leto wants to basically avenge his partner that was killed by the captain, that the priestess girl, I don't even know her name. it literally didn't say she had a name, but he wants to avenge his partner's death. But like, he uncovers things that his partner left that basically points to the fact that the partner might have been on the actual other side of the war, and so that unravels a lot of secrets. And he's probably thinking that, why am I actually in this war? I don't know. But I just thought it was interesting because it was talking about like Venus or Mars, one of those planets, and how there's like a priestess of sisterhood. I just thought that's very cool because we never really hear that kind of stuff in books. It's mostly like a group of men, soldiers, never like a priestess of sisterhood. That's a perfect name. I love that. But yeah, I just like how it's interesting that they were like, the girl has no name, no freedom. She's basically a property. And I don't know, it just sounds very interesting. It's, again, something that I would have not picked up if I hadn't just like been pulled in by the cover, and just reading it, actually it sounded interesting, so why not? So this is the last book that I'm going to show you guys. It is The Overnight Guest. I'm not even gonna bother to try to pronounce this author's name, but it is a thriller. It is about this true crime writer who is up in the mountains during a storm. Actually, not mountains, she's just in a farmhouse, I think, during a bad storm. She doesn't have a problem with being out there alone, but the one thing we find out is that the farmhouse that she's in, there was a murder, a double homicide in the house, and someone disappeared with no trace. So she's in this place by herself. There's a huge storm, and she gets a guest, and the guest is a small child just randomly out in the snow. She brings the child in, and upon doing this, it starts to unravel that there might be other people up there. She's not as alone as she thinks, and the person will do everything in their power to find them, which makes me wonder if, you know, whoever committed the murders are the ones who are at play here. Probably, because you wouldn't mention something like that if there wasn't some sort of connection. So I'm very like excited to read what is going on in this thriller. That was all of the books that I picked up at Barnes & Noble. I did pick up a bookmark because how can I not? I can never have enough bookmarks. So this one is a Harry Potter bookmark. It says, "Books turn muggles into wizards." That's the bookmark. And the tassel. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you guys have read any of the books that I showed you guys in today's haul. Thanks for watching. Bye.